Well, howdy this morning. We're here in Travelers Rest, South Carolina, as we have been for the past few weeks here. And yeah, excited to be with you all this morning from wherever you may be tuning in across the world. Sounds like we got some folks from Colorado, some folks from Holland, some folks from all over the place. So let me know where you're coming from today. Drop a line in the live chat here on YouTube, and we'll keep the conversation going throughout the morning. And if you've been with us before, as I'm sure many of you have, this is just a weekly hangout where we get to nerd out about mandolin stuff and get to talk about all sorts of things that us mandolin players think about. And if you have any questions of any mandolin related topic that you'd like to discuss together, let me know too. I'd love to dive in, and we'll not that I know the answers, but we'll try to figure it out together. And we'll also be playing some tunes as well. So if you have any requests for tunes that we've looked at here on the YouTube channel, or any of the stuff that I've looked at over on my Patreon page as well, drop a line and we'll see if we can squeeze it in for a little virtual jam this morning. It's gonna be a lot of fun. But yeah, let's catch up with you guys. How is it going this fine weekend? It's finally starting to get cool here in Travelers Rest. It's taken a while, but we have been experiencing some weather in the 70s, which feels kind of frigid here for South Carolina. But it's been good. And let's see, you guys are in Central Illinois. Matt, awesome. It's so great to have you here with us. And James is saying redundancy. I don't know. I guess I am a bit of a redundant kind of guy. So pardon if I repeat myself. See, Rick, what is up, Rick? I'm so glad you're here with us this morning. Yeah, look forward to seeing you at IBMA as well. I'll be over in Raleigh, North Carolina next week. So we won't actually be having a stream the following week, but we'll be, I guess, back. When is that? It's like October 10th, I believe, or maybe it's the 9th, I forget. So 2 weeks from today we'll be having another stream. But next week, while I'm out in Raleigh, you guys can jam along to some of your favorite videos on the channel if you want to, or get together for some other jams as well. Or maybe we'll see you at Raleigh as well for the big bluegrass convention that they have with the IBMA there every year. Really excited. This year we're going to be playing at the big amphitheater that they have outdoors. It's called the Red Hat Amphitheater, and we'll be playing there, as well as I think on the Street Fest, maybe a late night set on the Street Fest. They close down the entire downtown area and they make it be this big bluegrass bash, which I love. It's one of my favorite events all year. Really excited to be back after missing last year too. So that'll be special. I'll look forward to seeing you there, Rick, and anyone else who's making it out to the big wide open bluegrass conference and festival. It's gonna be a lot of fun. Let's see, Peter Griffin's here from Calgary. That's so cool. We're just thinking about Calgary recently. We were at that Shady Grove Bluegrass Festival, I guess outside of Calgary, not too long ago. It seems like a while ago, but yeah, just a couple years back. That was a lot of fun. Hope we make it out there again sometime soon. And James is saying, any waltzes for this week maybe? Yeah, we could maybe check out some of the tunes that we've been looking at on the Beginners series. We've been looking at that, what is it, the Blackest Crow recently, which is one of my favorite waltzes. It doesn't get played as much as I like, so we should definitely revive that one. Let's see, Richard Egan, I really wish I could play my fiddle tunes faster. Speed is so hard to improve. I can't seem to break about 110. I feel you there. And actually, that's kind of like a bit of foreshadowing for some stuff we'll be looking at on the channel soon, I hope. Well, I've got a video in the works for tackling that very topic. Just playing faster on the mandolin and all the challenges that we have when we face that particular topic. I don't know. It's like, I think about it's more like a mental game than a physical game. I don't know if you've experienced that before, but it's a lot like exercising, lifting weights or something like that. It's just it's definitely possible to do things. If there aren't any like real legitimate physical limitations like a disability or anything like that, it's definitely possible to play faster and to play cleaner and to play with good tone. But we often are our own worst enemy when it comes to getting there. So we'll be talking a lot about that soon, I hope. But maybe we could check out some tunes at some faster tempos together as well during our stream, and kind of talk about a few ideas as well. It's a great idea, Richard. Let's see. Your sinus is saying cold, huh? Southern Ontario here. Been a bit chilly, I bet. Oh man, can't even imagine. Do you guys have snow there already? I bet. Man, that's something else. Richard Ingram is from Maryland Eastern Shore. Oh, thanks for joining us, Richard. Oh, Oh, cool. Eric saying saw Bela Flex Band in Princeton last night. Jacob Jolliffe and Alex Hargraves in New York City tomorrow. Wow, man. You're in the thick of some awesome music, man. I got to see Bela's set, I guess it was a couple months ago at Rocky Grass, and was like one of the most inspiring musical experiences I've had in a long, long time. So I bet that was amazing. And Alex and Jake are just like an awesome pair. I remember seeing like these videos of them as teenagers playing house concerts together, and being so inspired by what they do as well. That's incredible. Let's see. Adam's asking how are the new digs? Yeah, the new digs are great, man. We've been enjoying it. It's been a slow process, as you can see from the blank walls here that I've had for the past couple months. I haven't been making a whole lot of progress, although we did just turn this closet over here into a recording booth, which I'm really excited about. Got some soundproof paneling on the walls and hung some of those cool fairy lights to make the vibes, just right for recording. So that's great. We've had a friend over the other day recording some demos, and we'll be doing some more stuff with the Foreign Landers from here at home as well. I'm sure you'll be hearing lots of like subtle Finn barks in the background that we overlooked whenever we're recording. He's a bit loud sometimes when we record, but you might hear him later today as well. Just keep an ear out for him. But yeah, so that's been a development. We've got the kitchen all sorted. We've got the den kind of working out now. Yeah, so we'll keep you posted. Hopefully, we'd love to have some jams and some house concerts here at some point, but we'll see. It's just like such a strange situation with COVID. Hopefully, it'll all work out sometime soon. But thanks for asking. Yeah, we're really enjoying having a house, and it's been so nice just to like feel like we have our own space and to just start planting roots somewhere. Where Travelers Rest is such a great spot too. I know maybe I'm a bit redundant on that too, but it's just like an amazing place and such a fun spot to be. There's actually like an indie craft parade that's happening later today. We're gonna go check out and see some of the local artists and lots of really cool visual artists, lots of music artists around here too. So yeah, if anyone's thinking about relocating, I'm like the Travelers Rest. I'm their rep now, so you can talk to me about any of that stuff. Well, keep all this conversation coming. I want to check up on you guys in a bit, but maybe we can take a break and play some tunes together. Let's see. I'll pull up one of my favorites that we've looked at in the past on the channel, and I feel like this is just like one of the best tunes to start with. It's like the one tune that gets called at the jam. It's so important to know and so fun to play at the same time. I never get tired of this one. Of course, Angeline the Baker, right? We've played this one not too long ago on the stream. Be good for me. I need to warm up a bit this morning. We can start talking about some speed ideas later on too. This one, gets played at a wide variety of tempos. I've played this one like at slow jams before. I've played this one at really fast advanced jams before. And it's one of those tunes that's a bit of a chameleon where you can kind of play it at a lot of different levels and it sounds great, which is what I love about it. I'm kind of in tune here. Hopefully I'll get there. Of course, if you're new to this tune, we've got the video lesson on this one on the channel here. You can grab this transcription over on the Patreon page, as well as some backing tracks and different tempos of me and Tabitha, playing banjo, guitar, mandolin, and bass accompaniment. And that's a great way of practicing along as well. But it's fun getting to play it together with you guys. Even if we can't hear each other, just getting to experience live music together is like one of the best ways to get better. So I'm a big supporter of that. Getting there. So this tune is really simple though, right? Like the chords, if you never played this, it's D. Just use your open D chord or open G chords. Those are great options. And then the melody is pretty straightforward too. You can play it this simple version right here. On the Patreon page, we also looked at a little bit more of a complex version. That's also great. Feel free to play whatever version of the tune that you know, and we'll just trade back and forth like we're at a bluegrass circle. Maybe I'll start things off a bit slower here. Maybe here we go. All right, here go. All right, my turn. Go here. I'm gonna take another one. Here we go. Alright, your turn again. To that B section now. Alright, let's see if we can play this melody together. We'll just play the simple version on the page. folks. Angeline the Baker. It turned out to be a little brisker than I imagined, but it was really nice. Yeah, you can play that tune all sorts of tempos, like I was saying. And if anyone was having trouble keeping up with that tempo there, no worries. I think one of the best ways of getting used to playing at faster tempos, obviously, is just playing at faster tempos, right? And that's something that gets often overlooked. So I see there's some more discussion on playing faster here. Maybe we could talk a bit more about that now with Angeline the Baker kind of as our case study. Let's see. We had a comment here about Fiddler Allie Bain suggested learning to speed up by concentrating on individual phrases if you're having trouble. And that's probably a good place to start too. Like speed is a weird concept because it's not always transferable from one piece of music to the next. I think there may be a base level of comfort that you have. Like if you work up Angeline the Baker beyond 110, 120 or something like that, it's going to be easier to take another tune up to 120, but it doesn't always mean that from now on you'll be able to play every single tune above 120 because every piece is unique. Every piece has challenges. A simple melody like Angeline the Baker might be easier to play faster than a more complex version of Angeline the Baker as well too. It depends on how many eighth notes, or if you think about 16th notes that you're squeezing into the melody, that makes it harder to play at different tempos. So that's one consideration. Like for instance, if you're playing Angeline the Baker here and you're having trouble with the turnaround, like the last two measures of the section, there's some more notes that are happening there. Obviously, it's going to be more useful and more effective to focus on that one phrase rather than playing through the entire tune from start to finish every time you work on playing this tune faster. So, get out your handy-dandy metronome app. I'll pull mine up here. I've recommended a few. There's one called Time Guru, which I really like. And then there's another one called Tempo, which is a really good one too. Here, I'll pull up the Time Guru, and let's say we're playing at 100 beats per minute, trying to get past 110 eventually. I would just sit at 100 for a little bit here and try to play that phrase again and again, right? And there's this fun game I like to play with a lot of different aspects of music. It's called the Rule of Three, right? That's where you try to do something 3 times in a row without making a mistake. So if you're working on speed, you can apply the Rule of Three here by every time you bump up the tempo, you try to play that excerpt 3 times in a row without any mistakes. And if you make a mistake, like say on the second or third time, the game is that you have to restart the count. And that's why this game can be really infuriating because it applies a cost to the things that you're working on, which I think is great. It helps me focus and gives me more incentive to play things right, which, if you're not playing things right all the time, then you're kind of building up bad habits. That's the idea anyways. Obviously, we all make mistakes, and we can't get beyond that. But if we kind of cut ourselves too much slack, sometimes we're building up bad habits and practicing in mistakes instead of the right thing. So try to use the Rule of Three there. Practice that phrase at 100, and then once you play that 3 times in a row without making a mistake, bump it up to 105 or 110, and then start pushing past that too. Like see if you can do it at 115 now and practice that one phrase. And then what's good to do after that, if that's the one phrase that's giving you a hard time, like obviously focus on that. But then you can start to zero out from that trouble spot, making that trouble spot be your focus still, but seeing if you can play the music around it. Like what if you tried the whole last line of that B section now? Maybe you tried like 115 here. It'd be like something like that. It's like it's slowly piecing the tune back together so you can get the context for how this really hard phrase fits within the structure of the entire tune. And you can keep backing up to the entire section and into the entire tune eventually if you want to as well. And try the Rule of Three eventually with the entire piece. Like, can you play through Angeline the Baker 3 times in a row without stopping, without making any mistakes at 115? That's the ultimate goal, right? And then that's kind of like one side of the coin I like to talk about, where you're obviously you're trying to work on speed and you're approaching that threshold, that goal that you're shooting for, like 115 or 120, whatever it is. and you're starting at a slower tempo first and working your way up. And kind of like that's what most people say, right? It's like you have to start slow in order to play fast, in order so you're not building up bad habits and practicing in mistakes like I was talking about earlier. And I think there's a lot of value to it. And I think while you're doing this, you're trying to hold on to that sense of relaxation that you get at a slower tempo, like at 90 or 100. And as you slowly ratchet up the tempo, 5 BPM at a time, you're seeing if you can hang on to that relaxed feel in these newer, tougher situations that you're encountering at these faster tempos. And trying to get acclimated to those tempos. Like again, like we said, the familiarity, just getting used to playing at those faster tempos is really what's going to help us play at faster tempos. But that only is kind of a one-sided approach. And I've talked about before on these streams, and what I'll talk about in this video is kind of flipping things upside down and seeing if you can approach things from faster to slower instead of slower to faster, which seems a little bit counterintuitive. And we're going to have to, I'm going to have to backtrack on some things that I said earlier, because when you're practicing this way, you're not really worried about playing things perfectly. You're not worried about, not making any mistake at all. You're trying to just hang on for dear life and just try to get used to what it's like to play at these unfamiliar tempos. So, if 120 is your goal, I'd say, like, what would it be like to hop up to 140 for a hot second? Go from 115 to 140. Obviously, that's going to feel totally impossible at first. But I just say, like, see what it feels like. See if you can keep your shoulders relaxed. See if you can just think about that tempo. Think about where the notes line up with that click. And then just go for it. Your main goal being to stay with the tempo. You're not worried about playing everything perfectly. You're not worried about getting every note in there even. You just try not to drop a beat, or try not to stop, try not to change anything about the form. Just hang on for dear life, right? What would that be like? Obviously, it's a little bit easier with that simpler version of the melody, but try whatever version that you're working on, and then see if you can slowly drop down in tempo. Like obviously that's tough at 140. But like, what would it feel like now to play at 130? That's gonna feel a little bit easier, even though it's still above your goal that you're shooting for, right? And then once you play through the tune at that tempo a few times, see what it's like at 120 again. Like that was, our initial goal that seemed so impossible. But now it's going to feel like a cakewalk because of what you've encountered just prior to playing at 120. You've kind of weathered the storm of 140 and 130, and now coming back down to 120, it's going to feel so relatively easy, right? And that was a total game changer for me. I remember hearing Casey Dreesen talk about this idea of playing fast to slow as well as playing slow to fast. And it's something I haven't heard quite as many people talk about. I think it's a really important thing, though, because it's really exercising both ends of that speed concept where, you want to be playing clean. You want to be playing with good tone and good volume, even if you're playing faster. But if you're not throwing yourself into the deep end as well and trying to play fast without worrying about those aspects, it's tough for those 2 points to converge, right? Sometimes it's a lot easier to play fast and play sloppy, and sometimes it's a lot easier to play slower but play clean. But eventually you want those 2 points to kind of converge on each other so that you can play fast and you can play clean. And I think that's the best way to do it. It's like practice both ends of the spectrum and see if you can make that point line up and higher echelons as you keep working on it. So that's what I'd recommend. And hopefully that's along the lines of what you guys are talking about here. Let me catch up and see how you guys are doing. I know arthritis, that must be really tough, Matt. Yeah, no worries there. I mean, we all have. I talk about speed sometimes as if it's like some positivity mumbo jumbo where you can just do it if you believe in it, and that's obviously not the case. There's some definite like physical limitations that we all have to deal with. We're all human, and some people have even more limitations with things like arthritis or all sorts of problems. So it's not something that's a necessary experience as a mandolin player to play fast, but it is fun, and it's fun to see what's possible. Even with limitations, it's cool to think about, like, okay, how can I rise above this, or how can I use my weaknesses as a strength in some way. I don't know if you guys know Barry Abernathy, but he's an amazing example of someone who does that. He's a banjo player, plays with the Appalachian Roadshow, and incredible singer, incredible player. And Barry doesn't have, I guess he just has a thumb on his left hand, which is absolutely incredible. He has, a palm and just a thumb, doesn't have any of these 4 fingers, but he can still play the 5-string banjo like Earl Scruggs did. It's incredible. I don't know how he does it. And of course, there's other examples like Django Reinhardt, who could only use these 2 fingers on his left hand, and still people say he was the best gypsy jazz guitar player of all time, like even with all the modern examples. So, there's not to say that we're all Django, we're all Barry Abernathy, but it's cool to see that there's exceptions to the rules. And, if you're creative, if you think of ways around those shortcuts, they might be things that actually make you who you are as a player, make you more interesting, and make you more who you are naturally. I think that's cool. There's the quote from John Hartford I love throwing around. He said that your artistic voice is just learning how to operate within your own limitations. And, John Hartford was a person who exemplified that so well. I don't think about him as the most clean technician in the world. If you hear his fiddle playing, it's greasy and gritty, and that's kind of why I love it in the same way. It's just there's such a freedom about it that he played with so much joy and so much improvisation and variation. It was really exciting to hear him play on those records he did towards the end of his life, like The Speed of the Old Long Bow and Hog and the Red Brush. Is that right? I forget. There's so many great examples, and then if you hear songwriting too, it's like he wasn't. It's like something about his songwriting is so personable and so interesting. Like when you hear "Gentle on My Mind," you can just relate to the storyteller's point of view. I love that. So there's totally room in the musical world for any limitation and still be able to surpass it and rise above it. And speed is just one small example of that. So I hope you guys can chew on that, think about that a little bit more as you think about this in terms of speed. And maybe we could check this out as far as maybe another fast fiddle tune. And I promise we'll come back to those waltzes in just a minute. I know we had some requests for waltzes, but how about we check out maybe another tune that we could just burn and just try out some of these ideas. What would be a good one here? Going through the catalog, maybe we could try. This is always the challenge, like picking a good tune at the jam, right? What about how about, I'm just keeping you guys in suspense here. How would we do Squirrel Hunters? Because that's the one we've talked about a lot, and one I'm sure you guys are familiar with. If you haven't played it already, again, check out the transcription on Patreon, and there's so many great recorded versions of this out there too. But yeah, we'll see if we can think about this tempo idea, get outside of our heads on the speed, and I try to scrub the phrase "I can't play fast" from my mind whenever I come into these challenges, because that's a lie I believe for a long time. Like I thought I wasn't a fast player until I realized, like, oh, the only reason I'm not a fast player is because I haven't actually been practicing playing fast. I haven't been putting myself in situations where I had to play fast. So whenever the banjo player would kick off, fast tune at 150 beats per minute, I would just give up and not actually try it, or I would try it and then fail because I hadn't been practicing it, and which further reinforced the lie that I wasn't a fast player. So, don't push yourself too hard if you're feeling like any physical limitations or pain. Obviously, that's something that you have to kind of deal with. But if you're just getting used to playing fast, let's see if we can sweat a little bit here and get used to playing faster and check out what's going on. So let's see. What if we tried this out maybe at 120 beats per minute? What would that feel like? Pull this up here a bit. Well, I need to get used to it too, man. What if we try this at 130 for a second just to get used to what that feels like, and then it'll feel easier at 120. Let's see, what would that be like? Let's see. Woo! All right, so that's a little bit faster than we're going. We'll drop back down to 120. And maybe just to get warmed up, let's see if we can play through this whole melody at 120 with the click as our guide. I'll turn this up a bit so you can hear it. So let's try this out. I'm feeling the click. If anyone's new to playing with the metronome, I'm feeling this click basically on the first beat of the measure and on the third beat of the measure. So it'd be like 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. I think that's a little bit nicer than hearing the click on every beat. Like if you wanted to, you could bump this up to like 140. It'd be the same tempo, but it wouldn't be it wouldn't feel the same at all, right? Like this feels awful. So that's 140 right there. And it's the same tempo, but it's just so incessant. It feels like a woodpecker banging on your head. So let's try 120 instead. All that just to exemplify. 120 is much nicer. So just feeling the clicks on beats 1 and beats 3, and then trying to see if you can really land on top of the beats whenever you're playing notes on those first and third beats of the measure. And that takes a little bit of time to get used to it. And yeah, there's some other ways of practicing tempo besides metronome. Richard's saying, the Strum Machine is an awesome app that you can use. That's so true. Like if you can get the feel for a whole bluegrass band behind you, that's even better. It kind of feels a little bit safer. And I think there's advantages to both. I'd recommend trying both too, because there's something to be said about just the space you get with a metronome. It doesn't leave any room for mistakes. So it kind of shows you your weaknesses a little bit more, because the bluegrass band can be a crutch if you're not careful. There's this great video of sorry, I'll pause this for a second. There's this great video of Justin Moses and Sierra Hull playing just duo guitar, mandolin. They're doing Daybreak and Dixie, I believe, and playing it at like 160 beats per minute, something like that, like abnormally fast, and playing absolutely perfectly clean in time, and they have such a groove locked together, even though it's not a full bluegrass band behind them. There's no bass, no banjo, no fiddle to kind of carry out the beat, just guitar when Sierra's playing. But they feel it so naturally together, and I think that comes from a lot of work with the metronome, as well as a lot of work with playing with the bluegrass band or playing with Strum Machine too. So we'll try it with the metronome here first. What's this like? All right, so let's just see if we can play through this melody together. I'll count us in. So it'll be 1, 2, 1, 2, ready, go. That's a good workout, isn't it? Got to stay loose. I can feel like my arms starting to tense up over here. That's like the main enemy to playing fast, is just the tension or the stress that you have in your body that basically becomes a dead weight, basically a counterweight against the energy that you're trying to use to play faster. Just trying to stay really loose and stay kind of greased up, so to speak. Having all your joints be really oiled and working well. That's going to be a big thing about playing faster later on. So we got a small taste of what that feels like. Let's see if we can, hop back and forth a few times, playing, like we did for Angeline the Baker. See if we can jam on this one for a bit. Let's get this tempo back in my mind here. It's about right there. I'll try this without the metronome. Here we go. 1, 2, ready, go. that B section. All right, my turn. Rocky ending there. Alright, we'll try this again. Alright, let's play this together. Ready? Well done, folks. That was a great workout. It's a good excuse for me to work on some speed again, too. That's the frustrating thing about tempo, is that it's a bit of a muscle that you have to keep exercising, right? Like, I didn't practice playing fast a whole lot during the pandemic, and getting back to playing with my L12 and playing live music again, I realized, like, oh, I need to practice this again. And still working on it myself, but hopefully that was a challenging and fun experience, trying to play through a tune like this at 120 beats per minute. And I just say try doing that. Like, take a familiar tune if you don't know this one already. See if you can take your favorite tune and just push the limits. Just put that foot on the gas a bit and sweat. Like, be okay with sweating a little bit. And I think you'll see progress if you're interested. And again, not to say that we always have to play fast. I think that's a misconception too. Like, it can go either way. Like, you can say, like, oh, I don't really like how people play things so fast, which can be a bit of a cover-up for ourselves to excuse it when we don't feel comfortable playing faster, if that makes sense. Like, I used that excuse for a while. It's like, I don't really like it when people play things really fast. I don't think it like suits the music. And there are some occasions when that's true, but often I would use that as a bluff, so to speak, to just to hide my own insecurity about playing faster. And again, like, playing fast is not the most important thing, but as a mandolin player, I want to be able to fit in different musical situations and feel comfortable, or feel like I can express myself in deeper ways with other musicians, no matter what situation I find myself in. And I find that it's also difficult for playing slower stuff too. Like, maybe we could, as a change of pace, come over to this waltz that I mentioned earlier, the Blackest Crow, and get a feel for what it's like to play something totally different, right? Waltzes are such a unique form within the fiddle tune genre, just like the 3/4 time, the slow waltz feel. usually having a lot fewer notes and less busy rhythms at slower tempos. And I find it's really difficult to express myself on this platform as well as playing fast. They have their own unique challenges. And I think the more we throw ourselves into those challenging situations in different settings, on both ends of the speed spectrum, the more qualified or the more well equipped and the more satisfied we'll be to express ourselves in those situations. So why don't we try this out as well? This is a tune we've been looking at on the beginner series, but it's not just a beginner tune. It's a really beautiful melody that I love playing. It's a song that has words to it as well. Some people sing this one. It's if you haven't played it before, it's pretty simple. It goes something like this, like. Then it repeats. Then goes to the B section. Then it goes back to the A section. It's a pretty haunting melody, right? Yeah, and it's got an interesting form, right? It's like A, B, A, which is a little different than Squirrel Hunters, right? Squirrel Hunters, the tune we just played, had a form of A, B, B, so 2 A sections and 2 B sections back to back. But this one has more of like kind of a standard song form where you have 2 lines that are the same, or 2 A sections that are the same, I should say, 1 B section that's different, and then you get back to the A section at the end for kind of a nice bookend at the end of that form. So it's not printed here, but just remember at the end of that B section, you're going back to the beginning of the A and playing the A just once before trading it off to the next person. So if you're new to this tune, again, the chords are similar to a lot of the other tunes we looked at, right? We have D, we have C. Your open C chord works really well. We have your open G chord, and then an E minor too. That's a fun one. That's a really nice E minor. It's just open, 2, open. And I think that's about all the chords that we have here. Right, see, we have a question here. Christinos is saying, how do you know the order of the parts? They never mark them on the tab sheets. Yeah, good question. So, usually you're just going in alphabetical order, right? That makes the most sense. Like if you have a 3-part fiddle tune, it's just A, B, B, C, C. Like a good tune that's like that is one we looked at on the site kind of recently. It's called, what is it called? It's called the Hangman's Reel. It actually had 4 parts, so it's A, B, B, C, C, D, D, right? And most of the parts repeat. Actually, on that tune, there's a couple parts that don't have repeats. And on a chart like this, you can always tell if a tune has a section that repeats by those double bars that separate the parts together. Like on this Black as Crow sheet right here, you can see at the beginning, after the pickup measure, there's a double bar line, a thick bar line, and then another bar line with a colon next to it. And that's showing us that we're going to repeat from this point on. And then when you get to the end of the second line there, you see the second to last measure has another double bar line with the colon pointing the opposite way, right? That's your repeat sign saying, okay, we're going back to the beginning of the A section. But then when you check out the B section here, we actually don't have those same repeat signs, right? We don't have the double bar lines. So we're just going to be playing the B once. So that's the form, and it's not written out on this chart right here, but you can check out on the beginner book where this tune comes from that we have over on the Patreon page. There's another page that has the last A section to kind of let you know, okay, we're repeating the A section at the end as well. But we'll just kind of remember that from here. But yeah, hopefully that helps. That's the way you've been playing so far. Cool, that's great. But yeah, sometimes you'll encounter tunes that are different, and you got to keep an eye out for those repeat signs on the tablature. Or, just listening to other recordings of tunes like this and seeing, okay, are they repeating the B section? Are they not repeating the B section? Is there a third part? All sorts of things like that. You just gotta I'll put your musical detective hat on, so to speak, and do some sleuthing, see if you can piece it together bit by bit. Because the form is probably the most important part about a song. Like even if you play a different melody or if you play a different chord for one or two measures here, as long as you keep the same amount of measures and you follow along with the structure of the tune, you can play along with other people. And that's the most important part about music, right? So we'll try that out now together. So I'll play through this tune one more time. You can back me up, and then we'll trade back and forth a few times. Let's try that tempo right there. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2. A section now. All right, here we go. So we're starting at the beginning of the A section again. Another A section. On to the B section. And then on to the A, one more time on the A. All right, my turn. Turn again. To that B section. All right, let's play this melody together. love how it ends on that minor chord. It's so haunting, right? I guess you think about this tune as being in the key of G major, but it ends on an E minor chord, and it just kind of leaves you hanging there in a fun way. Well, beautiful playing. I hope you guys enjoyed that one. We haven't really done too many waltzes on these streams before, so really fun to get to play that with you guys. Well, let's catch up. How are things going? Let's see here. Okay, so Matt's saying, yeah, my issue with learning any of this is that I'm a visual learner, so watching someone play notes doesn't actually work for me. So it's frustrating me over the years too. Yeah, I get that. You know, there's like different ways of learning, and I'm probably more like a visual learner myself. Honestly, I think about the way that the fretboard looks and how my fingers kind of react to that visual shape, and that's what gets me through a tune like that. Another visual component can be looking at a page too. That's useful. You know, like if you look at the tablature or the standard notation and can learn from that. Sometimes you can even use that as a form of memorization, where you're visualizing the page away from the sheet music and trying to learn or trying to play through the entire piece from that reference point. That's also useful. And then I try to like push myself to be learning in other ways too, because I don't want to just rely upon that too much, because I think it's the more ways you have to learn, the more well balanced you are, and the more ways you have of remembering things or contextualizing things. It's really interesting. Like I try to be an auditory learner too, where I'll often try to learn tunes by ear instead of looking at a sheet of music, or I'll try to learn a solo by ear just by transcribing it bit by bit, which I find challenging sometimes, but I feel like I grow through the process, even though sometimes I'm banging my head against the wall. And then other times I feel like I want to push myself to be a tactile learner too, where I'm like maybe closing my eyes and trying to feel off the fretboard for a tune that I know, or trying to learn a tune by feel instead of by sight or by listening. I haven't figured out a way to learn a tune by smelling, but maybe eventually we'll figure that out. Smelling and tasting, that'll be interesting. But yeah, so I'd encourage you guys, just try to stretch yourself, try to be kind to yourself. Obviously, be patient, but the more you can push yourself to try learning in these different ways and trying to memorize things in different ways, that's really, really helpful. And you're seeing us. There's no such thing as a stupid question. I appreciate that. Any question is so useful, because it's all in the hopes of learning and getting better and being able to share your knowledge with other people once you've learned these things. So that's all great. I think the more questions the better too. I think it's like the suck as loud as you can advice makes sense. I appreciate that. Yeah. That's something I heard from. I don't know. It's something I heard from Sam Bush. Like I think he had a band teacher who told him that he wanted every mistake he played to be audible in the back row of the audience, and I think that's something cool. It's you learn more from your mistakes than you learn from your successes in a lot of ways, and anything that I don't know, that anxiety can often hold us back. And there's this thing I've been learning about recently. Maybe I've talked about this before, but forgive me if I'm repeating myself. But it's this idea of the spotlight effect. It's like a psychological principle, I think. It's the idea that we all think we're kind of the star of our own TV show or our own movie, right? And we think that everyone around us is viewing us as the star of that same TV show or movie, when really everyone else is thinking about themselves as the star of their own TV show, and everyone else is just kind of a minor part or supporting part in that production. So that's useful in a lot of different ways. So for one, if I think about that first, like probably no one really cares if I make a mistake, because they're all viewing themselves as the star to their own TV show and me as a supporting role. And if they notice that I make a mistake, they're probably not going to think much of it. They may not even remember it. And there's something freeing about that. There's an anonymity in humankind that's beautiful, and I think that's kind of a fun thing. So I'd say, like, think about that spotlight effect. Like whenever you come to feeling that anxiety, or feeling like the anxiety is holding you back from doing the things that you want to. So just remind yourself, one, I'm going to learn from any mistake that I make. And two, if I do make a mistake, probably no one's going to remember, no one's really going to care that much because of that spotlight effect. And in that, play suck as loud as you can mentality, that's another thing too, where if you kind of surrender yourself to making mistakes, you're probably going to make fewer mistakes in the long run too, which is interesting. I don't know why that is. But yeah, that's something that's kind of cool. It's like if you just are okay with not sounding good, or you're okay with that's the wrong way to put it. If you're okay with making mistakes, or just putting yourself out there, not knowing if you're gonna play perfectly, there's a confidence that comes along with that that's gonna help you play better in a weird way. Not to be too narcissistic or anything like that, obviously, but I guess it just comes with the experience. Like the more you play, the less you kind of put on each individual performance. Like when I first started out, I only got to perform like once a month or something like that, and it was so scary whenever we would set up the sound equipment at the local coffee shop to play these tunes that we'd covered, and I would always freak out because I'm like, oh, it has to be perfect, it has to be as good as Sierra Hull or Christy Lee or whoever, and then hundreds if not thousands of performances later, here I am, and I kind of know how the thing works, and I know there's going to be more gigs, there's going to be more performances, there's more opportunities to play, there's less writing on each performance, which kind of gives me a sense of freedom just to enjoy each show as it is. So I don't know if that's helpful, but that's kind of my mentality. But yeah, great discussion here, folks. So Brown is saying, I've just started learning 12-bar blues, great fun, so different to the medieval music that I've been learning. Yeah. That's cool. I don't know too much medieval music either. I've played some blues, but I'm definitely not an expert on it. I definitely check out there's a couple of really great blues players out there. And of course, like just learning like the 12-bar form, that's something that kind of comes up in a lot of different styles as well. Like there's a lot of songs that in bluegrass that use the 12-bar blues form. A lot of stuff that Bill Monroe wrote, like that tune. Another one that Earl Scruggs played is a. I need to work on it a bit more, but I think it's called the Foggy Mountain Special. That's a fun one. That's 12-bar blues, and I think there's a few others as well. It'd be fun to kind of check out some of that stuff on the Patreon site eventually. Well, let's see, what else? Donna Hard 2 saying mistakes should be done twice. I like that. Yeah, you gotta learn how to play your mistakes. Sometimes I think the mistakes I make sometimes are more interesting than what I intentionally play, and that's another fun thing to think about too. Like when it comes to improvising or playing something new in the moment, there's freedom in making mistakes that you're just like, oh wow, like if I can almost figure out how I played that mistake, it might sound kind of cool. There's also another rule that improvisers use sometimes. Like if they make a mistake, they'll try to repeat that mistake 2 more times so that you're communicating some form of intentionality to the listener. And it could be something that's almost like a joke, like it's kind of acknowledging and being self-aware of yourself, that like I made a mistake there, look at me, I can play this a couple more times. But sometimes it's actually cool because the mistake you might have played might actually work in a couple contexts within the tune, and if you can repeat it, or if you can find a way of reiterating it, it provides almost like a storytelling component to the mistake that you're making. So try repeating your mistake 3 times, and it might actually pull off. It might come off as something kind of cool. So yeah, and Matt's asking, does 12-bar refer to the sheet music? Yeah, so bar is kind of a synonymous term for measure. So 12 bars makes 12 measures of music. And that's just kind of a form, a name for a form that gets tossed around, like 12, let's play a 12-bar blues. And usually kind of like the very simple version of that 12-bar blues, you start out on the 1 chord for a key, like that Foggy Mountain Special tune starts out on a G chord for the key of G. And I think you play basically 4 measures of G. It'd be like 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, I guess I'm feeling it twice as fast. It'd be like 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 3, 4, 4. And then you go to a C chord for 2 measures, back to G, and then you have a D chord for 2 measures, then back to G for 2 measures before it starts over again. So there's 12 measures altogether. 4 bars of the 1 chord, 2 bars of the 4 chord, 2 bars of the 1 chord, 2 bars of the 5 chord, 2 bars of the 1 chord. That's a lot, I know. But that's kind of like the standard form. And then from there, when you get into like playing jazz music over 12 bar blues. That's what a lot of people think about when they think about 12 bar blues. There's even more kind of complex chord changes that you can add in. You know, like adding in like from the G chord going to the 4 chord, you could add in like I guess it would be a D minor to a G7 to a C, back to G, and then some people will do like be a minor 3/7, and then it would be like a dominant 2, or sorry, dominant 6 going to a minor 2, dominant 5, back to 1. Those are kind of like the weird jazz changes that we won't get in too deep right now, but that's how you can, you know, transform like a really simple chord progression into something cool. Like, you know, like something like that. It starts to sound a lot more complex and swingy, even though, you know, it's like the same 12 bar form, right? Yeah. So lots of stuff going on there. Let's see, we're about. So oh yeah. So let's see, Ursinos is Southwest Ontario, Canada. Awesome. We got a lot of Canadians with this. That's so cool. Oh, I'm so sorry about like all the business license stuff. That's so frustrating. Yeah. Yeah, I know my fair share about like the visas and all that stuff too for international travel and play. It's pretty frustrating. I heard about I don't know if you guys know Wee Banjo 3. It's an amazing band that's kind of split between the States and Ireland, and they've had to, you know, cancel all of their fall tour plans because of visa situations at the minute. They're just so backed up, and you know, the COVID situation has really thrown a wrench into a lot of that stuff for artists around the world, which I'm so sad about. But you know, hopefully all that stuff is ironing out soon. Hopefully things are looking up. But yeah. Well, anyways, on a more happy note, how about we maybe pick one more tune together here, and you know, can try some of this stuff out. What do we got here? What if we did maybe this tune here? Kind of a classic one. I learned this from, I guess it was from Alison Krauss and Union Station like a long time ago, but this version is a bit different. Check this out. Cluck Old Hen, you guys know this one, right? This is another one from that beginner book that we have over on Patreon. Got some more lessons for that series coming out soon. We'll be looking at a fun tune, hopefully like over the weekend or the next few days here. It's called Shove the Pig's Foot Closer to the Fire, or Further in the Fire. Another fun one that I'm excited to show you guys. But here, this tune is a short one, right? It's still got an A section and a B section. But the sections are only 4 measures long, and you see we do have the repeats here on page, so that's a kind of a little bit of a difference here. We have 4 measure sections that repeat, but usually what people do is they'll play through the A section twice and the B section twice, and then before handing it off to the next person, they'll play through the form again. So it's like A B B A B B before the next person takes it. Maybe we'll try that out, see what it feels like. The chords here, you know, super easy, just A, D, A, E, and then we also have a G chord in there as well. But yeah, let's just play this one like really groovy and see what it feels like. Maybe it's something like around there. I'll start us off here. I guess something like this. Take it again. All right, your turn. Didn't even think about it. This one has some blues notes in it. Speaking of the 12 bar blues. guys together. Here we go. Again. Nice work, folks. Cluck old hen. Well, folks, it is about time to wrap up for today, but I've really enjoyed getting together with you guys, and hope it was helpful. I hope all the conversation on speed and limitations and blues and all sorts of fun stuff was enjoyable, and we'll look forward to doing this again soon. Again, I won't be around next week since we'll be at the IBMA Bluegrass Convention in Raleigh, but we will be returning next week, and I believe all of October will be around, so we'll have more of a weekly schedule in October, and I'm excited to just dig in a bit more with you folks with some new videos that are coming up soon. And if you want to support the channel, really appreciate all the super chat tips here for the live streams, all the support over on Patreon too. Feel free to sign up for online lessons over on my website too if you want to support even further, and just even subscribing here on the channel goes a long way. So thank you guys so much for the support. It's been really appreciated over the past year here, and we'll be doing all sorts of stuff soon. Remember, look out for that shove the pig's foot lesson that's coming up here in the next couple days, and all sorts of other goodies soon. So I look forward to seeing you guys down the road. Until then, happy picking.